Hey, thank you for clicking on my video. Miles out right here. I haven't posted any videos in a while, so I wanted to kind of give you a quick update before we get into this video. I was doing a photo shoot, and this beautiful monster, it is a 24 to 105 millimeter f4. It's quite an expensive lens. That and my camera body took a tumble into the water. So I bought this specifically so I could do landscape photography, people photography, up close, macro, and also do videos because it's such a great lens. It's one of the L lenses from Canon. I was able to salvage the camera body, but unfortunately I sent the lens off to Canon and they sent it back and said it's unrepairable. And when I was using this lens, I would get pictures like this. And I would get landscape shots like this. So let's all have a moment of silence for my lens. Now, as I'm finishing up this video, I'm actually leaving right now to go to a place called Mile High Campground. That's on the Cherokee Reservation in North Carolina, right up against the Smoky Mountain National Park. Really excited because it's going to be really cool. Maybe down in the 40s at night, maybe get up to 65 degrees during the day, which is perfect. Elk walk through the campground daily. There's bear up there. There's lots of wildlife. So I'm really excited about this camping trip, and I'm going to be going with a few friends, which makes it even more exciting. Now, I've got a 35 millimeter prime lens that I'll be using for most of my video. No further ado, I'd like to go ahead and get into this video. Cue the video. Sorry about my super messy kitchen. I've got a lot going on prepping for my camping trip, but I bought a whole bushel of corn. It's about 5 dozen or about 60 corn. I picked the best ones for corn on the cob when I'm camping. The rest of them, I got about 10 or 12. The rest 4 dozen, I'm going to boil, trim off so I have individual kernels of corn, put them in quart-sized bags, and I'm going to freeze them so I can pull them out anytime I want. These are peaches and cream corn. They're absolutely beautiful. They're super juicy, super creamy, firm, crisp when you cook them. So I've got about 10 at a time. So I'll cut them, and then I'll rinse them off right here and get all the silks off. And I put them in the boiler, and then I put them back in the water to chill them for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then what you have here is a whole bunch of pre-cooked corn. I've cooked them, I've chilled them, I'm gonna cut them off the husk, then I'll make the base stock for corn chowder. So I'm gonna get that stock and I'm gonna reduce it so I can concentrate it. So that's basically what I'm doing today before I go shopping for my camping trip. So essentially, I take a piece of corn, the top that I cut off, I use a little skewer. I'm just going to cut it off like this. I don't want to go all the way down to the corn kernel so we don't get any of that kind of tart stuff at the very bottom. And yeah, it comes off in sheets, but I'll show you how we can take care of it. Delicious. Get all these, and I'll take them and I'll put them in my bowl. Now, I didn't actually record this earlier, so I'm going to explain how you do this. You take your corn with a husk on. At the very base, you cut that off, you peel it from the top. If there is any blemishes on the very tip, such as maybe it hasn't grown to the full tip, or maybe there's a little bit of bug damage, you're going to want to go ahead and cut that off flush, and then you rinse it off, get all the silk off as much as you can after you peel it. Then you're going to throw it into the boiling water. I found 6.5 minutes is a perfect time. You can probably go 6 minutes, you can probably go 8 minutes. If you got larger corn, you want to go a little bit more, but you also want to make sure you completely dry your corn. I've seen people put these on towels. I just let these sit in a bowl like this that's dry for about 15-20 minutes. We just don't want super wet corn. The husk we can use. I'm actually going to boil these and reduce it and make a base for corn chowder, or any sort of base. You can probably do this for any type of vegetable or chicken soup, anything where you're going to use corn in it. It's just going to have that extra rich flavor. Once I pull the corn cobs out, I'm going to reduce it so that way we can have a much stronger flavored soup that's concentrated. It'll take up less space in my freezer when I put it in my freezer bags. It seems like a lot of work. It's kind of tedious. It's relatively easy. Using a flat knife like this allows you to glide alongside the corn cob so you don't kind of accidentally cut in here and cut off a chunk of the cob. It's also good to have a relatively sharp knife. I love corn, and what better way to incorporate corn into your diet than locally grown peaches and cream corn. Super juicy, super crisp, super sweet. They do say don't salt your water, because if you do that, the salt will actually make the kernels really tough. We want nice and juicy kernels. And even as I'm cutting these things, they're exploding with juice. Splashed in the eye just a second ago. So yes, beautiful. As you can see, you got all these big pieces of corn that are just kind of all stuck together. So if you've ever just kind of tossed a salad, you're going to do that with your hands, and you're just going to kind of lift it very gently, break it apart, and these things just go into individual pieces of kernel of corn. Look at all this beautiful hand-cut, locally grown peaches and cream corn. Let's get this silk out of here. All this here is just 1 dozen ears of corn. Can you imagine how much corn I'm going to have? When I'm putting it in here, I'm going about 4 fistfuls, so I'm guessing probably about 2 cups of corn. We'll weigh these in a little bit just to kind of see. Maybe 1.5 cups. We'll seal these up and put them in, flatten it, and you can put it on, then we'll label it. Make sure you put a date on it. If you open something in the freezer, you know what it is, but you don't know how long it's been there. But if you put what it is, put a date on it, including the year, because I know you leave some stuff in the freezer that's been there for 3 or 4 years. When it says November 17th, you have no idea what year you put it in. I'm doing it over the pan, so when I drop it, I can reuse it. I already got 7 bags, and I still got almost a dozen ear of corn to go, so I think we're in 3 or 4 dozen, about 3 dozen ear already. So this is money well spent for an entire bushel of corn. I think I fetched $30 for it. So, you know, that's about 50 cents an ear of corn. And for corn this good, there is no way you can get a better deal than that. So I've got 11 of these bags, and each one of these bags is in between 10 and 12 ounces, which is perfect for a small family. It's perfect for maybe putting into soup. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to freeze these, and I'm going to freeze these in pretty much stacked like this. If you have the time and you have the space, I recommend getting yourself a large pan with some parchment paper. Put all your corn on all the pans you have, spread them out and freeze them, and that way each individual kernel is going to be frozen individually. Then you can pick it up, use your parchment paper like a funnel, and drop it right into bags like this, and then you have pre-frozen corn. When you heat these things up, what I recommend is to either microwave it. You can also put a little butter in a pan, saute it just to heat it up, because these things are already cooked. It could probably go another minute or 2 if I was going to fully cook it on the hot water. So I didn't want to fully cook them because I don't want them soggy and wrinkly and deflated. I want these things nice, fresh, plump. I want the outside of the kernel to be really taut, and I want it to explode and crunch when I bite into it. And that butter and the salt that's going to go onto it is just going to be perfect. So this is my experience with doing this corn. I've had an interesting time with it. I researched a few different ways to do it, but I think this is pretty much the best way that I think I can do it. When it gets into winter and early spring, all the fresh corn is going to be gone, but I'm going to have 11 10-ounce bags full of corn. How many corn cobs are you supposed to use for this corn cob broth? Asking for a friend.